Hi there, I'm Scuzzy. I'm a practicing witch, professional tarot nerd, and today I'm a storyteller. And I'm glad you're here. And Gary was planning on being here for the story today, but he seems to be running a little behind. I guess he's finishing up some chores. While we wait for him, there's a couple of things that I'd like to discuss. Today's story is adapted from Irish mythology. I'm going to do the best that I can with the pronunciations, but I don't speak Irish, neither ancient nor modern. And up front, I'd like to ask forgiveness for any blunders that I might make. That being said, I'm trying to work in ancient Irish, so some of what you might hear could sound a little weird, even if I get the pronunciations right. As my primary source, I'm using Gods and Fighting Men of 1905 by Lady Augusta Gregory, and I've referenced Celtic Myths and Legends, 1917 by T.W. Rolleston, and the Lebor Gabala Erenn. I thought about getting all scholarly with this, but truth be told, I'm more storyteller than scholar, and I'm a little bit lazy too. I've taken a few liberties with the story in an effort to craft a tale for more modern folks, and if you know anything about the source material, you might find some things to be a bit different. If you're looking for an authentic retelling of this story, you're going to need yourself a time machine. What has come down to us has passed through so many hands throughout the years that who's to say what was added during those intervening years. Storytelling is a living art. It grows and it changes. Oh, hi there, Gary. I was beginning to wonder if you were going to make it for the story today.
Yeah, sorry. I was exploring the woods with my friend and lost track of time.
I see. Well, the woods are great for exploring, and I appreciate that you weren't tearing through the house again like last time. You made quite a mess of things. Did you get your chores finished?
Oh yeah, that too.
You just pushed everything under your bed again, didn't you?
Well, at least the floor's cleaned up.
I imagine that it is. You ready for a story?
Yeah, what's this one about?
Well, this one is about when Lugh first arrived at Chawler, court of the High King of the Tuatha De Danann, Nuada Argatla.
Lava who?
Lugh Lavada. Lavada means long arm.
He had a long arm?
Well, I don't think he had like one extra long arm. I think it's a metaphor for being powerful. He had a long reach.
Oh.
Are you ready for the story?
Yeah!
Lugh had arrived. He stood looking at his destination in the distance. He saw the rising smoke from the cook fires and the forges. He saw the palisades and walls of the great rats. He saw fertile fields and grazing cattle. It felt like he was gazing at his destiny, the hall of the High King on the hill of Chawler, and his thoughts they took him back to all the paths which led him here. His first memory was of sitting on the knee of his foster mother, Talcha, a queen of the Firbolg. She would sing him songs and tell him stories about the people of his father Cian. He remembered running through the fields, the pastures, the woods of Talcha's household. He remembered playing at hurley with the other boys. He loved those games, and he smiled at himself as he remembered. He remembered working with the carpenters, the smiths, the brass workers. He remembered his heart slung now across his back, and how the strings rubbed his small fingers raw as he learned to play. He remembered long winter nights around the fire, listening to the poems and stories of the Shonachri and learning their arts. He remembered many feasts and seeing all the great people there. He loved listening to him as he scurried about, bearing their cups to serve him. He remembered learning the ways of war with the great champions of Talcha's house. They taught him the ways of the sword, the spear, and the bow. And they taught him the ways of leadership and strategy. All of these lessons of war, of all of them, he loved learning the ways of strategy the most as he played at chess with the great champions. And he remembered Birag of the mountain. Sometimes she scared him, but he delighted in all the lessons of magic and herbs of healing she taught him in her little cottage at the edge of the forest. As much as he loved and now missed his boyhood home, he had always felt a pull eastward toward the lands of his father and of the Tuatha. After a long oppression by an unwise king, Nuada had been restored to the seat of the High King. And Lugh knew the time had come for him to return to his father's people and help them throw off the fetters imposed by the Fomor.
The Fomor? Who are they?
The Fomor were a people with powerful armies and a dreaded king named Balor, the Baleful Eye. And he'd been enemies of the Tuatha De Danann for a very long time.
Why did Tuatha fight them?
Because Balor had a power in one of his eyes which could kill and destroy with just a look.
Balor had death ray eyes?
Well, it was just the one eye, but I suppose you could call it a death ray.
I wouldn't want to face that either. What happens next?
Well, Lugh approached the hill of Chawar, passing through the fields and pastures surrounding it. Nuada was hosting a great feast on this day, and there were many of the high houses of the Tuatha De Danann arriving to attend. As Lugh neared the great gate of Chawar, he saw that there were 2 gatekeepers there. They reminded him of the great champions he knew from his foster mother's household. And he knew from their bearing that they were great champions in their own right. Their weapons were formidable and their armor shone brightly in the slowly setting sun. The gatekeepers were standing on either side of vast gates, which were larger than any Lugh had ever seen before, taller than himself by 3 times, and wide enough still for 9 columns of warriors to pass through. The gatekeepers greeted and challenged all passing into Chawar. As Lugh approached the gates, the gatekeepers each stepped forward. "I am Gaval, son of Fival," one declared in a confident voice. "I am Cavell, son of Riavalya," declared the other. "Who are you yourself, and state your business at the gates of the High King, Nuada Gadlav of the Tuatha De Danann," said Gaval. "I am Lugh, son of Cian, of the Tuatha De Danann, and of Ethlinia, daughter of Balor, king of the Fomor," Lugh said. "And I am foster son of Talcha, daughter of the king of the Great Plain, and of Iked the Rough, son of Duach. I seek my place in the hall, and the house, and the service of Nuada."
Are they gonna fight?
"Wait and see."
Ooh, I bet they're gonna fight.
"What are you skilled in?" said Gaval. "No one without craft or art or skill comes into Chawar." "I am a worker in wood," replied Lugh, "with cuts straight and square and joints strong." "We have no use of you. We have such a craftsman." "Lukta, son of Lukid," replied Gaval. "I am a smith and brother to the forge," declared Lugh. "We have no use of you," said Gaval. "Govnu, father of the forge, is our smith." "I am a good worker in gold and silver and brass." "We have no use of you," said Gavel, "for we have such a good worker. He is Crednya." "I am a champion and versed in the tools and ways of war," said Lugh. "We have no use of you. We have warriors aplenty, and our champion is Ogma, brother to the king himself," said Gaval. "I am a harper and singer whose strings ring true." We have no use of you. Our harper is Avian, son of Bec-Felmos, which the men of the three gods brought from the hills, declared Cavell. I am a poet and teller of tales, Lugh said. Gaval said, we have no use of you. We have such. Eric, son of Ethama. I am a magician and skilled in power. We have no use of you, said Gaval. We have magicians and people of power in number. I am a physician and healer and skilled in work cunning, declared Lugh. We have no use of you, replied Caval. Giankect himself, who restored Nuada with a hand of silver, is our physician. Let me be a cupbearer, then, said Lugh, for I wish only to serve. We have no use of you, for we have 9 cupbearers, said Gaval. The gatekeeper stood stalwart before Lugh and blocked his entry into the halls of the king. Lugh smiled. He was clever, and he knew his next words would find no answer from the gatekeepers. Then, Lugh said, go to the king and inquire if there is any one person in his service who can do all of these things. And if there is, I will go away, and I will seek no more to enter Chawar. Gaval had no answer to this and went to seek the High King's guidance, leaving Cavell to keep watch over Lugh at the gate. Lugh waited, and as he waited, there were many of the Tuatha who arrived at the gates. Cavell challenged and greeted them all, yet all were allowed entry. After a time, Gaval returned, trailed by a score of porters, each bringing a game table. As Gaval again approached Lugh, the porters began to assemble the boards and set them up for play. I have spoken with the king, Gaval said, his voice booming and confident. I said to the king, there is a young man at the door, calling himself Lugh, son of Kian, but his name should be Ildanach, the master of all skills, for he claims skill in all the things the people of your house can do. And the king commanded me that you be tried with the chessboard.
They're just gonna play games? They aren't gonna fight?
No, they're not gonna fight. Nuada wanted to test Lugh and see if he was smart as well as skill.
I'm smart.
You sure are smart, Gary, and you are good at games. You see, Nuada is using chess to test to see if Lugh can think things through and make good choices. Those are some of the things it takes to be a good leader.
What happens next? Does Lugh win?
Wait and see. The gaming boards being set, Lugh played 3 times 20 games against many of the house of Nuada, and Lugh won each game that was played. Seeing this, Gaval again retired to the king's hall, leaving Lugh to the watchful eye of Gaval. Shortly, Gaval returned. The king has bidden you enter into his halls and his house, for none like you has ever come to Chawar before. Without further word, Gaval turned and strode through the gates into Chawar, and Lugh followed. The vast gates seemed even greater as he passed through them, and Lugh's heart beat a faster tempo. Surely I am now upon my path, Lugh thought to himself. Gaval led Lugh past great storehouses and grand stables. There were pens of pigs and pens of cows, all so many that Lugh could scarcely number them. They passed by a singular standing stone, the Liafal, the stone of destiny, which would sing aloud should any true king set foot upon it. This was one of the 4 great treasures of Tuatha De Danann, which they carried when they had first arrived in Ira. Lugh wondered, how might the stone respond should he touch it? But he dismissed the thought. He had come here to serve his people and the people of his father. They passed by the tomb of the kings, in later days called the Mound of the 9 Hostages, which was lit each year on the days of Samhain and Beltane. Gaval conducted Lugh to the doors of the Hall of the King, The wood of the building shone golden in the light of the setting sun. The hall was larger than Lugh had ever seen. Surely the entire host of the Tuatha could dine within. Standing at the doors, 3 threes of warriors, each armed and armored as were Gaval and Cavell. At their approach, the doors of the hall were cast open, and Lugh entered the hall of the High King. Tables lined the hall, and along them sat many of the Tuatha. Lugh had never seen such a gathering of great people, not even in the hall of his foster mother, and who was served by many great people herself. Talcha had told Lugh many tales of his father's people, and he recognized those sitting at the head of the hall. Nuada sat upon the throne of the High King, and around him the great people of the Tuatha. At the king's right hand there was the Dagda, whose pot was never empty, and beside him the Morrigu, crow of battle, and Bav and Macha, women of the battlefield, and Ogma, the champion and man of letters. And also there was Gavnu, Crednya, and Lukta, 3 men of craft, and Giankek, physician and healer. To the left hand of the king sat Eric, teller of tales, and Avian the harper. And there too he saw Birag, she whom had taught Lugh the ways of magic, and Eryu, and Fodla, and Banva, ladies of the land, as well as Brija, the 3 flames. Music filled the air, the sounds of harps, bowren, and pipes accompanied by voices raised in song. Lugh recognized one singer in particular among them all. It was his father, Cian, dressed in fine cloth and sitting among his people, reveling with the rest. A great feast was laid out on the tables. The smell of vegetables, roasted meats, fresh bread, and ale filled Lugh's nose, and he remembered that he hadn't eaten in days, so hurried he was to reach Chalwer. It was the custom in those days to approach the lord of the hall when entering for the first time. Lugh passed by the host of the Tuatha and approached the seat of Nuada. Ogma, great champion of the Tuatha, stood as Lugh approached, and the hall fell silent. Lugh could feel the eyes of all there upon him. "Who is this Ildanacht who comes into Chalwer and before the king Nuada our godlove?" asked Ogma. "I have said it once, and I say it again now. I am Lugh, son of Cian of the Tuatha de Danann, and of Ethlinia, daughter of Balor, king of the Fomor. And I am foster son of Talcha, daughter of the king of the Great Plain, and of Ekid, the rough, and son of Duach. I seek my place in the hall, and the house, and the service of Nuada." Ogma said then, "Lugh, son of Cian, you have played well at chess, and shown you have strength of mind and thought. What have you of strength of body?" At that, Ogma stepped before the seat of knowledge, sitting vacant to the left of the king. There was a great flagstone there that could hardly be moved by 4 times 20 yoke of oxen, and Ogma took it up and hurled it out through a high window in the hall, so that it lay on the outside of Chalwer, as a challenge to Lugh. And without a word, Lugh turned and left the hall. He passed again the Tomb of Kings, the Leafal, the pens of the king's animals, the storehouses, and he passed out of the gates of Chalwer.
Wait, he's leaving?
Lugh passed through the king's fields for a league to the place where the flagstone had been thrown. And he lifted that stone and he flung it back again into the hall of Nuada, where it landed from whence Ogma had plucked it. And none there could even tell that it had ever been moved from its resting place. When Lugh returned again to Chalwer, he was not challenged at the gates or at the doors to the hall. And once again, he came before Nuada. I say again a third time, I am Lugh, son of Cian of the Tuatha De Danann and of Athlinia, daughter of Balor, king of the Fomor. And I am foster son of Talcha, daughter of the king of the Great Plain, and of Akid the Rough, son of Duach. I seek my place in the hall and the house and the service of Nuada. Nuada beckoned Lugh to sit then at his left hand in the seat of knowledge, and to feast with the host. During the long festive night, Lugh played his harp for them, and he had them laughing and crying, and at the end of the night, he put them all to sleep with a sleepy tune. Nuada later went to Lugh and said, "You can do many things and overcome many challenges. We are beset by heavy tolls and the tyranny of the Fomor. We wish to hear what counsel you may have to help our people overcome the harsh and hideous hand of Balor and the Fomor." And with that, Nuada bade Lugh sit upon the throne of the High King, and for 13 days Lugh advised the people of Nuada's house. And they discussed many things, and at the end of that time Lugh retired to a quiet place in Gwyliach Doedd, and he put his mind fully to the task of casting off the influence of his grandfather Balor and of defeating his fearsome army. And he was joined there by Nuada and the Dagda, Ogma, the Morrigu and her sisters, Gavnu and Jinkek. And there they planned in secret for a year, so that the Fomor would not know that they were going to rise against them, and would not know the strength of the Tuatha De Danann. And it was from this council that the place became called the Whisper of the People of Day. And after that year, they went their ways and agreed to meet again on that day 3 years hence. And Lugh returned to his home in the house of Talcha, to be among his friends, the sons of Manannan.
Wow, Lugh is so cool! Did the Tuatha fight the Fomor?
Wait and see.
I'm gonna Lugh become buddy?
Wait and see.
Hey, Cian, send Lugh to Talcha. Where's Lugh's mom?
Slow down, Gary. Those are all stories for another time. I take it that you like this story.
Yeah!
Thank you for spending some time with us today. If you've enjoyed that time, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I'm Skaji.
And I'm Gary.
Safe journeys.